So I originally promised I would be looking at the Doraemon movie that came out for Netflix in 2014, and I did watch it, as well as its sequel that came out like a year or two ago. But honestly, while there are plenty of things to say about those movies, I feel like I still need time to process them because watching those movies back to back is the ultimate mindfuck. I felt like I took acid or something because of just how much crazy shit was in both of those movies. So yeah, we're not going to be talking about Doraemon today. Instead, we're going to be talking about another anime movie that I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while, that being the Digimon movie.
The movie event you've been waiting for is coming to theaters this fall.
All right!
Digimon, the movie. On October 6th,
Ty, what's happening?
a digivirus will infect the internet
Diaboromon?
and wage the ultimate battle.
You'll never stop me.
The internet becomes a battlefield for the Digi-Destined and their Digimon companions as they embark on their greatest adventure yet. A powerful new Digimon hatches and begins to consume data at an exponential rate. This internet Digimon rapidly digivolves to its mega form, Diaboromon, taking over worldwide communications in the process. With time running out, only the efforts of a worldwide network of kids, plus a new mega hero Digimon called Omnimon, stand in the way of a global disaster. I can't help but find it a little bit funny that the IMDb description basically describes the whole middle of the movie as if it were the entire plot of the film. The long and the short of it is that Digimon is sort of like Pokemon, except it has a lot of key differences as well. It's sort of like Pokemon mixed with Tamagotchi, where you have these digital creatures that you take care of. You train them, you feed them, you care for them, and you can also train them to fight. And I remember watching a fair amount of it growing up on, it wasn't Disney Channel, I think it was like JetX, I think was the name of it. It was one of those many Disney-owned channels that wasn't specifically Disney Channel. But yeah, I remember watching a little of it growing up. I remember it was one of those many anime that me and my sister watched a lot growing up. You know, we watched Pokemon, we watched that, we watched Yu-Gi-Oh!, we watched Naruto, we watched a bunch of stuff, especially once Toonami came around. I'm not going to act like I'm a huge mega fan of Digimon because I don't remember a whole lot of it. That being said, I do remember Digimon having its charm, and I do remember it having an interesting cast of characters. So yeah, I'm not trying to write off Digimon entirely as just, oh, it's just the poor man's Pokemon. Digimon had its own identity, and I feel like if anything, in the schoolyards of many, many late 90s, early 2000s kids, there's probably a bunch of infighting going on from kids that you were either a Pokemon kid or you were a Digimon kid. Anyway, the moral of the story here is Warner Brothers struck gold with the first theatrical Pokemon movie. And so Fox, who owned the rights to the dub of Digimon, were like, hey, we can do that too. So they desperately scrambled together a Digimon movie, and what they did was they combined 3 different short Digimon movies and Frankenstein them together into one movie with all the staples and bacon grease in the world because, yeah, even if I didn't know that going into the movie, it's pretty apparent that they just connected a bunch of different short stories together to try and make an hour-and-a-half film. The first Pokemon movie at least had a beginning, middle, and end, and it felt like a coherent story. This honestly feels like the first, second, and third act of this film each have their own beginning, middle, and end, and it's very apparent that these are just a bunch of short stories that they just kind of awkwardly stitched together in editing with some narration thrown in. It definitely shows that. Before we even talk about the movie, we gotta talk about the first 4 or 5 minutes where there's a bonus cartoon. I barely remembered what this was. This is one of those things that I think I was like 1 or 2 when this cartoon came out, but it was owned by Fox as well, and they were trying to promote this show to a wider audience. It's some show called like Angela something.
Few seconds, the doors will open for the best movie of all time, the Digimon movie.
Angela Anaconda, that's what it's called. Right, okay. But it's one of those shows that every once in a while I see people reference like, oh, remember this show from your childhood? And it's like, no, I don't really remember a whole lot of it. But going off of these first 4 minutes of this movie, it really was not selling me on it whatsoever. The entire thing just came off as really annoying.
We're going to have to get digi-drastic if we want to get the best seats.
I mean, the art style is kind of neat. It has a very, like, South Park, Terry Gilliam look to it. But, I don't know, the voices definitely came off as annoying. Oh, we gotta get to the theater. I'm Angela Mon. Just something about that was just like, oh God. I'm kind of glad that this was before my time because I feel like I would not have sat through this.
Angela Anaconda, Digivolve to Angelamon.
Then you get to the actual movie itself, and, well, they hit you with the Digimon theme, which they remixed into a rap song.
Digivolution is up and running. Did you see? Did you hear? Did you know what's coming? A Digi Destiny starts today. Let me hear you say.
But then the movie starts by just throwing you into the action.
Says there's no such thing as monsters.
This is like the third time I've seen this movie. I think I saw it once as a kid, barely remembered it. I think I tried watching it in middle school and didn't finish it. And then you jump forward to now, and it's like, I completely forgot that it was just 3 different short stories stitched together for one. But more importantly, I totally forgot about they just throw you into the action right away after the opening credits. But the first story has our main characters from the show, Tai and Kari, and they're noticeably younger in this version. So this is kind of an origin story, I guess, where they obtain a digi-egg from their computer, and it hatches into this little rabbit-looking thing. And, well, first of all, I noticed that it latched onto their faces like the face huggers in Alien, so that was kind of funny.
He had a strange way of showing his appreciation.
Hey, cut it out! Stop kissing my sister, you!
You know what is not funny? The constant 4Kids style puns and shit jokes that you expect from a crappy kids movie from around that time.
It get any worse. It just got worse.
And trust me, there is a lot of that in this film.
I think it's your mother's recipes.
I hate to tell you I told you so, but I told you so!
One thing leads to another. Because of an electrical surge, the Digimon that just hatched, this little rabbit thing, eventually digivolves into its next evolutionary step, which is, of course, giant T-Rex.
This one digivolved. He expanded more than my Uncle Fred at Thanksgiving.
Nice dinosaur. Friendly dinosaur.
I would totally complain about that not making sense. However, that actually makes perfect sense in Digimon canon because that's essentially what happens. Because these things are basically powered by electricity, megabytes, gigabytes, that kind of thing. So the fact that an electrical surge causes it to evolve at a rapid rate, that part totally made sense. And it also makes sense that the evolutions are really weird, so that it goes from this little rabbit-looking thing to a giant T-Rex-looking thing. Then, admittedly, the movie was starting to kind of win me over, because then the T-Rex ends up breaking loose from their apartment complex and starts rampaging through the streets, and it then starts fighting this parrot Digimon that's about the same size as this T-Rex, and it basically just becomes a kaiju battle for a while. That's one thing I can definitely give this movie credit for. The action scenes, not only are they actually really cool, but they're animated really well. I think it's because the animation director, I believe, also went on to work on stuff that I really enjoyed, like Summer Wars and Girl That Leapt Through Time. You know, I thought that those were really good, so it's good to see that there were talented people working on this movie. And in general, I think one of the better things about the film is the animation quality. It definitely does look like this was something they did try to promote for a theatrical release. It doesn't just look like, oh, this is an episode of a TV show that this should have just been a fucking TV movie or whatever. It doesn't look like that. At the same time, I don't think the animation is enough to save the really bad dubbing and really bad jokes they throw in, though.
Oh, Polly want a cracker? A really big cracker?
After all that is said and done, and they fucking wipe out this giant parrot thing, and it seems like their Digimon has died, we then get some narration, which that's what they use to try and connect all these stories together. The narration from Kari, which half the time feels like exposition.
My name's Kari. I'm part of a team called the Digidestined. There were only a handful of us at first, but we've added a few members since then. That's me with TK, another one of the Digidestined.
The other half of the time, it feels like it's used as a plot device to try and make each of these completely unique stories feel like they're actually telling some kind of grander narrative. But basically, in the narration, they keep setting up this character, Willis, who's going to come into play in the third act, which makes me wonder why they were even building him up all throughout to begin with, other than, oh, by the way, this character is going to be important way later in the movie, so just so you know, audience, just so you're not confused.
And that's Willis in America. While the rest of us in Japan only had one Digimon, he had twins. And while we had our team to count on, Willis didn't have any human friends, only his 2 Digimon.
Then we jump to the middle of the movie where we have our second story. And in this one, our characters are definitely of the age that they are supposed to be in the show. And, well, you know, we have everybody just kind of relaxing, everybody's doing their thing. They crowbar in a reference to Power Rangers because I think Fox, or somebody connected to Fox, like Saban Entertainment or whatever, owned the rights to Power Rangers, so that was yet another shameless product placement from them.
Wanted to show you my new dress. I'm going to a birthday party. I got my friend a pink Power Ranger. My brother and...
Meanwhile, Ty is trying to send a love letter to a girl that he knows, Sora.
Able to deliver? I can't believe she's not gonna read my letter. You try and tell a girl you're sorry and your computer shuts you down.
We get one of my favorite characters from the original show, Izzy, who is the quirky best friend and the tech genius.
Huh? Prodigious. A computer virus on the internet.
This was a 2000 movie, so yeah, the internet was nowhere as in popular use as it is now, so it's easy for us to look back and laugh at that, but at the time you could tell that, you know, oh, only internet people understood that kind of lingo, so I don't know, I got a chuckle out of that. But anyway, yeah, this virus that's going around the internet, it's basically a Digimon that went rogue. It's a Digimon that got corrupted, and they call it Dioboromon, which is apparently supposed to be a play on Diablo, you know, the Spanish word for devil or demon. So it made me just think, like, why didn't they just go full throttle and just call it Diablomon? Would that have been too obvious? I don't know. But basically, yeah, it's this Digimon is a glorified computer virus that starts hacking into people's electricity. It starts making the power go out all around the world. It starts launching nukes.
USA just launched 2 nuclear missiles. Huh? Willis says the government has no explanation for it, but he found out the Diaboromons in the Pentagon's computers.
The thing that was really getting to me was, holy shit, this is like really heavy stuff. This feels like this should be the end of the movie, but it's not. It's the middle of the movie. So this is what I was talking about earlier, when it feels like each of these stories has its own beginning, middle, and end instead of flowing naturally. So it was just like, holy shit, we're going fucking global here. We're having fucking nuclear weapons being launched, and we also have a bunch of other characters who are getting introduced into the mix. Characters from the show, of course. You got Matt and TK. They show up too. And everybody's going back and forth talking about, like, how are we going to stop this? This is bad. This can, you know, be an entire global disaster.
Matt!
We've got the Digivices.
Now what?
Awesome. We'll tell Jedi to upload Gabumon and Patamon onto the net.
You can do that?
And the thing is, out of all the stories, this is probably the one I liked the most, and I can kind of see why IMDb would list this as if it was the main plot, because it's certainly the most interesting, at least in my opinion. It's like, yeah, this feels like this should have been the whole movie, but it's not. And that was just kind of disappointing. Oh, you also get one of my least favorite characters. You get Mimi, who's thankfully not in the movie that long. She's only in like a throwaway gag.
I don't have a care in the world, and I'm wishing you were here!
One of the few things I can give this movie. Thank God for that. But ultimately, this results in them sending their Digimon into the internet to fight. And again, the fight scenes, they're well animated, and they are a little bit exciting, even though it does feel like there's a shit ton of exposition explaining Diaboromon's backstory and whatnot, just so that people in the audience aren't confused.
Nice wolf strike!
And well, this story ends exactly like how you'd expect it to. It ends with the Digimon that our heroes send into the internet to fight Diaboromon end up defeating Diaboromon. The internet is now once again back for everyone to use. Everyone gets their power back. The nuclear weapons just kind of awkwardly land in the water. And most importantly, Kai still manages to send a love letter to Sora.
Dear Sora, I'm sorry you grew up bad, so what's a few raindrops between friends but apart?
Then we get to the third and final story, which honestly at that point I was just kind of checking out, and the movie only had 30 minutes left. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this is probably the story I liked the least. I could see people finding it interesting, but me personally, I thought the second one was the most interesting, and I felt like a lot of it just kind of peaked with that story, and this third one just felt like an extended tag-along segment. So this one follows not just Kari and TK, but you also have some of the other characters that were introduced a little later in the series run. You have Cody and Yole and Davis. I love how they had to explain this to the dumb American audiences, but they have a line in Kari's narration where she says something about like, yeah, I know, he looks a lot like my brother Ty.
There's Davis and Demi Vemon. Yeah, I know, Davis looks a lot like my brother Ty.
Thanks for explaining that one, Kari. I bet a lot of confused parents that took their kids to see this appreciate it. We're in America now, and they come across this Willis character who they've been messaging all throughout. They established that in the narration in the first segment. So they know who this Willis character is. And Willis, he has this Digimon called Kokomon, which has become corrupted. And so he's basically the big bad for the story. And, well, you know, eventually Willis and the rest of the team meet up with the other characters in the Digidestined, as their group is called, while they're hitchhiking to Colorado. I'm really not exaggerating here. A lot of this segment is just a fight scene. It's just an extended fight scene, and it was really reminding me of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, where the plot just takes a back seat to the action sequences. Granted, this movie is better than the Michael Bay Transformer movies because, generally speaking, those movies really suck. But it was just, I couldn't help but be reminded of that because it's like, okay, plot going on pause. Now we're just getting into the extended action sequences. I feel like that's the problem with trying to combine 3 different stories into one movie. It feels like they just rush through a lot of things. I mean, even when they get to the backstory of how Kokomon ended up like this, it feels really rushed. Like, you have a lot of emotion flying throughout that sequence, and it just feels like it just goes, okay, yeah, we're done, moving on, next.
The saddest story I ever heard.
I'm the one with the problem, not you. Get over it.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I can give this movie some credit. They didn't skimp on the fan service when it mattered the most.
Digimon Morph Digivolve 2!
Seraphimon.
Digimon Digivolve 2!
I'll admit, when I was a little kid and I saw that, I probably thought that was the coolest shit in the world. It's like, oh my god, we never saw them evolve in the show, so now we get to see them evolve in this movie. And that was one of the few things that felt like, okay, that's the kind of thing you should do in a movie based on a popular show like this. Something that the audience had never seen in the show will finally get to see in this movie. That's something that you'd actually want to see. But then time travel happens. Yeah, they used time travel to go back before Kokomon was corrupted by the virus. So, yeah, okay. But ultimately, yeah, you can't fight the inevitable, and Kokomon basically dies, but then you get you get the obligatory moment where it's like, don't worry, Willis, Digimon never truly die.
I guess without the virus, Kokomon couldn't heal himself anymore. The battle was too much for him.
Don't be sad, Willis. One thing you have to learn about Digimon, they never really die.
The world is saved, some lessons are learned, and they imply that Kokomon's gonna come back, but thankfully he's gonna come back uncorrupted, and, well, end the movie with All-Star by Smash Mouth.
Your information just gets reconfigured. Only sometimes they come back singing a different tune.
That was one of the few things that genuinely surprised me. I totally forgot All-Star by Smash Mouth was in this fucking movie. That was really scaring me. Which reminds me, I gotta bring this up. Oh my god, this movie has the most 1998 to 2000 soundtrack ever. Every song that was popular at the time that they had the rights to, they fucking used it in this movie. Oh my god. I would just love to imagine some Fox executives were like, fuck it, it's an animated movie, put pop songs in there, kids love that kind of crap. Not since the Jimmy Neutron movie have I seen an animated movie with a soundtrack that slaps that hard, dude. Overall, the Digimon movie, from the perspective of someone who kept up with the show relatively well, I wouldn't say I was like a massive fan of it or anything, but I watched a lot of it growing up. And rewatching this movie, honestly, yeah, it is definitely a mess. I feel like if you're a massive fan of the show, you'll probably enjoy it more, because it does seem to be gaining more of a cult following from people who say, yeah, I know it's a mess, but I enjoy it because it's such a mess. And honestly, I do have that reaction with some movies that I watch, so I could see people enjoying this movie. I wouldn't say that it's a complete waste of time, or that it's completely irredeemable. Me personally, I just wasn't that big a fan of it. I mean, there were cool things in it. The action scenes were cool, the animation was well done, the soundtrack fucking slaps. But other than that, the stories themselves feel just really disconnected. And even when they do try to connect it and have it make sense, it's like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? Okay. But overall, I can see people enjoying it. I was not one of those people, but like I said, maybe if you're a diehard Digimon fan, you'll get more out of it. Me personally, it just didn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, I'd honestly say the Pokemon movie was a little bit better, but then part of me feels like if I were to rewatch that, I would say, okay, wait, I forgot this had a whole list of problems in its own right. That's actually not a bad idea. That might be a video down the road. We get to talk about the Pokemon movies I remember watching as a kid. Because I remember me and my sister, I think we got to like the 4th movie, and then after that we're like, all right, yeah, we're done with Pokemon. But anyways, guys, that does it for Blockbusters show in July. Look forward to 3 more reviews coming up next month. I'm not entirely sure what movies we're going to be doing. I know I want to do an action movie because we haven't reviewed an action movie in quite some time. We're probably going to have another crappy comedy, and maybe a dumb science fiction movie or fantasy movie. I don't know. We'll definitely figure that out later. But until then, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
More friends coming over? I'll make 3-bean salad.
Nobody's coming over, Mom.
Oh, that's all right. I only have 2 beans anyway.